This is an action research project by Jolena Odding, researching the effect of math scales on student learning and NWEA MAP data. At M.E. Pearson Elementary in Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools. All teachers on staff will participate in professional development over the next 2 months around math scales and how to increase rigor in how they're written. Teachers will answer a survey evaluating their math scales and the evidence of rigor. NWEA MAP data will be evaluated from fall and winter to determine if there's any evidence of increased student learning or success on the MAP. The result of this action research showed that student achievement did not increase by having math scales in place. Instead, the results implied that more research is required to increase rigor and teacher expectations for student success. On the right, you will see a list of references and resources used during this research project to make connections to student success and teacher learning. As we began this research project, we started with the question, what would the effect of increased rigor of math scales have on our MAP data? We wanted to increase success in learning and increase the rigor of scales and teacher expectations. Qualitative and quantitative data were used and recorded in the following graphs and charts to determine the impact of rigorous math scales and professional development. Teachers responded to a survey asking them to evaluate their use of math scales and evidence of support rigor. And lastly, the NWEA MAP data from fall and winter was used to evaluate growth in student learning. We have to start with our district goal. And according to our website, our goal is that each student will exit high school prepared for college and careers in a global society. At every level, performance is on track and on time for success. In order to reach this goal, the district has to set rigorous goals for instruction and achievement. KCK aligned research with Marzano using learning scales and goals. When writing learning scales, teachers study Marzano's taxonomy to create different levels of student knowledge based on the verbs selected. Students become aware of what they must do to successfully learn at a high level. This process models for students to be both reflective and proactive in their learning. And according to research, students who are successful in rigorous learning environment take responsibility for their learning. They learn to reflect on their thinking. Further, scales allow teachers to provide feedback to a student, which facilitates a powerful mind shift about education, that it is indeed about learning and not a grade. What matters most, also, according to research, is what teachers learn. Professional development should improve teachers' knowledge of subject matter that they are teaching, and it should enhance their understanding of student thinking in that subject matter. Scales are connected to teacher expectation. We find that teacher expectations matter. To put this in perspective, if a student is randomly assigned to a teacher whose expectations are 40% higher, which is the average difference in expectations faced by black and white students in this sample, the student becomes 7% more likely to complete a 4-year college degree. This is a non-trivial effect size for secondary school intervention. We understand how critical it is in the work that we're doing in KCK that our students have teachers that communicate high expectation. We are able to support teachers in this work through professional development that, according to research, models rigor through rich tasks, rich discourse, and good questions to allow teachers to experience rigorous instruction and therefore become better practitioners. This is the steps of our action research. We met as a leadership team to determine the root causes of low math data. We identified what staff has control to improve. We focused on rigorous math scales, evaluated the NWEA MAP data for fall and winter, and provided a plan and professional development to support teacher learning in math scale development and Marzano's taxonomy. Teachers also responded to a survey evaluating the rigor of math scales and providing evidence, and leadership team then evaluated the data from the survey to determine next steps. In the survey, these were the 22 responses we received, and the percentage of what grade level this represents. According to the survey, teachers ranked themselves 3 or higher, with 63.6% of teachers putting them in a 4 for being rigorous in their math scale writing. This indicated a significant red flag for us, for me, as I evaluated our research. Another piece of evidence takes a look at first grade MAP data, which indicates growth, and then second grade, which actually indicates a retrograde progress in student learning, which is concerning. My last piece of evidence to present are some of the teachers' responses in their survey. You can see that there is a difference between teachers' responses. You can tell which teachers were reflective in providing evidence and making connection to math scales and evidence of rigor. And you can see teachers that were not reflective in their responses. The outcomes are as follows. Having math scales in place, it's not sufficient to increase MAP data in student learning. There are flaws in the research that I became aware of, and that included the research survey questions themselves, teacher bias in how they responded to those questions, and the research design. Action research revealed that more professional development for teachers is needed to continue to support teachers in learning. Instructional coaches and leadership team, such as teachers and administration, need to continue to develop supportive relationships with teachers and students to ensure both are growing. Further wonderings. I'm convinced that there is a connection with teacher expectation and student success that needs to be researched. Teachers that communicated consistently high expectations, developed positive relationships with students, and demonstrated belief in student efficacy provided responses on the survey that demonstrated evidence of rigorous math scales. This may be a better question of origin in the next action research project. How do high expectations communicated by teachers to students impact student learning in rigorous math scales? In conclusion, and our next steps, results will be shared with administration and leadership team to determine the next steps that we must take. It will be recommended that we engage in challenging conversations with our teachers at the PLC level to look at data and communicate the urgency to be reflective practitioners that are committed to seeing our students become successful learners in math, regardless of our own limitations as adults. We have to continue to do this work on behalf of our students.